What's good, everybody? All right, I'm a few days late. The schedule was released on Wednesday, but it's the last week of school. I have three kids. They had a bunch of events going on, so I was crazy busy this last half of this past week. But I'm on here. I want to talk about this schedule because I think that there's some things in our schedule that are that's really intriguing. That's very interesting. And I want to kind of share with you guys kind of how I break down, how I evaluate our schedule. I do this every year. Now, mind you, this is my first off season on doing this YouTube thing. So I've never been able to share with you guys just kind of how I look at the schedule. But I'm going to share with you on this video just kind of how I digest it and how I really look at the games. And so before I get into it, if you can, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. I'm doing my next giveaway, or my next giveaway will be at 4,000 subscribers. But I'm gonna throw another one in there because it's my way of saying thank you. And Tia Brown 3559, you were one of the winners of my previous giveaway. 831 Raider, you were as well. I was only gonna do one giveaway winner, but I decided to do two because I just appreciate the support you guys have given me. And 831 Raider, you emailed me back. You told me you got your giveaway. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for letting me know. And Tia Brown, yours is going to be, it's already shipped. It's coming shortly. So I appreciate you. But guys, if you want to be included in all my future giveaways, this was my fourth one since starting this channel. Hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications. It definitely helps me. But most importantly, if you could like this video, it would help me out a lot. So let's kind of get into this. Again, I'm going to be able to share with you guys kind of how I evaluate our schedule, right? I just don't look at whether or not a team is good or a team is bad, and how do we match up? Do I think we could just beat that team based on our talent and theirs or what have you? I don't just look at it that way. You know, throughout the season, I do a lot of sports betting, and there's a lot of there's a there's a lot of things that I look at or I evaluate just outside of just the initial matchup. You know, is the team we're playing coming off of back to back away games? Are they coming off of a short week? Are we coming off of a short week? You know, there are times where you're playing on a Monday night and now you got to play on a Sunday morning game and you got to travel, you know, all across the country. You know, there are other factors that play into how a game could possibly play out. And I'm going to lay this out. I went through every single game and I'm going to share with you guys just kind of what I think of the game. I'm going to give you a projection of how I think our record is going to look at the end of the season. And so I want to get you guys' comments. So get right in that comment section. So let's kind of dive into it. So these, first and foremost, I'm going to go over just kind of my biggest takes when it comes to this schedule. But let's go into our primetime games. All right. So first and foremost, we got two primetime games, but I want you guys to take a look at up on the screen, right? The Jets, the 49ers, the Cowboys, they have six primetime games. We have two. We have a Monday night game and we have a Black Friday game, the first Black Friday game that they've ever televised. And so we only have two this year. We usually have at least three. Last year, I believe we had five, but we only have two this year. So the NFL just kind of decided to screw us on the primetime games. But those are the primetime games. I'll go through them as we go through the schedule. But this is where the NFL has really pissed a lot of people off. And I'm just throwing this on here just so if you guys aren't aware. But this year, for the 2024 NFL season, you'll need at least five streaming services if you want to watch all the football games. And this is what you need. I mean, I am the one. Yes, I will watch our Raiders whenever they're playing, but I also love watching other teams. I love watching just football in general, right? Whether it's college football, arena football, it doesn't matter. I like to watch it. If the Raiders aren't on, I'll be watching somebody else be playing. But this year, not only do you need to have Peacock, you need to have ESPN Plus, YouTube TV, Prime Video, and now they're putting on Netflix. And so just as a heads up, if you're a football junkie like I am and you're going to want to watch a lot of football, you're going to need five streaming services this year, which in my opinion, that's total crap. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about that. Let's dive into this schedule. Here, what I want to say is first and foremost is, you know, there are typically stretches within a season, right? You're going to have maybe a group of games that you're really going to have to focus on because that's going to be the hardest part of your schedule. And going into this year, we have the ninth hardest strength of schedule. And there are some games that, even though they look hard on paper, I do think that we may have a little bit of advantage, and I'll detail that out a little bit in this video. But I think just in my initial reaction, weeks 1 through 6, we got to come out with a winning record. Weeks 1 through 6, we got to play strong. Weeks 14 through 18, got to stay strong, because weeks 7 through 13 is what I like to call our gauntlet. That's kind of how I describe it, as our gauntlet. I mean, it's a lot of tough teams, and we got to prep outside of that to really prepare for just some really hard fought games. And so let's kind of dive into this. Um, NFL decided to start out with a banger for us. We start out at our home away from home, LA and SoFi. We're playing the Los Angeles Chargers, and this is why we are starting out with a bang. This is why I say we're starting out with a bang. Um, there was a lot of turmoil between the Raider fan base on who to hire as a head coach, Jim Harbaugh or Antonio Pierce, and half the nation was completely divided. Half of us wanted Harbaugh, half of us wanted AP. And I'll tell you right now, if we lose to Jim Harbaugh, this fan base is going to lose their absolute mind, because the Jim Harbaugh people, the guys, the fans out there that wanted Jim Harbaugh, guess what? They are going to be throwing it in the faces of all the fans that wanted Antonio Pierce. And so this is going to be a very important game. It's going to be a hard fought game. Harbaugh is going to have this one circled, not only because it's the first game, but it's a division rival, and it's the Raiders, right? He's going to want to smack us in the mouth. And so this is going to be a huge game to start out against Los Angeles. And then we move to the East Coast against Baltimore. It's going to be a hard one. Anytime you travel to the East Coast as a West Coast team, it's hard. And the hard part is you're facing Baltimore in the early part of the season. You know, Lamar Jackson, he's a mobile quarterback. Towards the tail end of the season, he starts to get banged up. And so it's a lot harder to face a healthy Baltimore team early in the season, because again, Lamar Jackson, he usually is banged up because he likes to run. So that's going to be a hard game. And then we got Carolina week 3. So Carolina, they should improve. They got Bryce Young over there, a new head coach. That's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be a battle. I think we can definitely beat them. I don't see anything on the schedule that's going to alter whether or not or can play a factor in the outcome of that game. So I think we should come out with a win. Cleveland is going to be a hard-fought battle. Cleveland had one of, if not the best defense in the National Football League last year. So I could see this being a defensive battle. And it's going to take us 3-4 games to really get our groove, not only on the defensive side, but especially on the offensive side, because new offensive coordinator, potentially new quarterback, whether it's Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. Even though Aiden O'Connell was with us last year, he has a new offensive coordinator. So it's going to take us 3-4 games just for the offense to really start to gel. And then when you have to hit a week 4 team that has probably one of the best defenses in the league, that's going to be a massive test. And so not sure how the outcome of that game is going to be. Obviously, I want to win all of them, but I'm a realist. I'm going to come on here. I'm going to give you my true opinion on these games. And so that's going to be a tough one. Week 4 is going to be a tough one. Now we got our second division game. We're going into Mile High. And this is one game I want to break this one down, because we're going to go into Mile High. And even though Denver's going to have a rookie quarterback, they got some pieces that they need to connect as well on that side. I think this is going to be a little more in our favor, even though I think we can beat them straight up. It's going to be a little more in our favor, because if you look at the Broncos schedule, prior to our game, they're going to be in 2 games before that. They're going to be on the East Coast in Tampa, and then they're going to stay in the East Coast and play New York, and then they're going to come back home. That's 2 East Coast games. They are going to, and sometimes when teams play back-to-back East Coast games, they'll stay out there. So there's a chance that they're going to get acclimated to that time zone. It's going to be tough. It's tough to really transition through time zones, and being back-to-back games on the East Coast, it will be tough to come back and play at home. And so that might give us a little bit of advantage. And so those are the kind of things that I take a look at. So I think that there's a really good chance that we keep that 8-game win streak alive when we turn it into 9. And so we beat up on Denver. Now we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin will have this team prepared. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. As much as it's going to be a battle, I do think we could pull this one off. We can maybe beat Denver pretty good and come off of a good win, a good high off of there, and keep that momentum going into Pittsburgh. And so I think there's a good chance that we beat Pittsburgh. Now let's take a look at the Rams. Now this is where every year for every team, there's a potential trap game. And what I mean by that, and I'll tell you what this trap game looks like. I think this is our trap game. One, you're going into SoFi. Yes, it's a home away from home. But just on paper, the LA Rams are a very good team. Sean McVay is going to have that team prepared with Matthew Stafford. As long as they're healthy, they're going to be a good team, and it's going to be a battle. But let's take a look at what the Rams' schedule looks like prior to us. The Rams prior to us, they play in Green Bay, they play Green Bay at home. So they're going to be at home in their comfort zone all that week. And then they get a bye week 6 right before us. That means that there are 3 total weeks basically at home, and they're going to have 2 weeks to prepare for us. It's 2 weeks to get healthy based on those first 5 games. They're going to be fresh and ready for us. And then if you look at our schedule, we're probably going to have a battle, an absolute battle against Cleveland, a hard-fought battle against Denver. We're going to battle against Pittsburgh, and now we're going to play a fresh and healthy Rams team in LA. That's going to be a tough one. That's a game that I consider that kind of a trap game, right? And so I think that that's going to be a tough one. We could end up losing that game just because of how the makeup is for the Rams going into that game. And so again, the Rams are going to be a tough team as long as they're healthy, and they're going to bye week to become healthy. And then what happens right after that? We have Kansas City. And now we have a lot of people that are basically saying that we're going to lose that game. If we're going to split the wins with Kansas City 50-50, everybody's saying this is the game that we lose, and we might win the Black Friday game later in the season. Well, I actually think if there is a game that we can win, if we split 50-50 with Kansas City, I think this is the game that we can win, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's look at Kansas City's schedule. Kansas City's hardest part of their schedule is in the front half of their schedule. This is where they play us. They play us week 8 down here. Look at the teams that they have to play. They got Baltimore week 1. Then they got Cincy. They have Atlanta. They have the Chargers, which the Chargers always play them strong. They got New Orleans, which has a good defense. They always play them strong. They have a bye week. But then right before us, they have San Francisco. I mean, I'm telling you, they are going to be beat up. They're not going to have Rashid Rice. He's most likely going to be suspended. You got a Hollywood Brown and Xavier, the new, I'm blanking on his name. Sorry, but the rookie receiver that they just brought in. It's going to take time for Mahomes and those receivers to really gel in real time game situations, and there's a good chance that they're going to come into this game absolutely beat up, having to play the Ravens, Cincy, Atlanta. The Chargers, good defense over there. New Orleans, San Francisco. I mean, that is a hard schedule, and then they got to come play us. And so that's why, to me, I think that there's a good chance that when we face Kansas City, down here, when we face Kansas City in October, there's a good chance that if we still one game, that might be the game that we still. And so next up, we have Cincinnati. And now let's break down Cincinnati, because Cincy, this is another game. Even though we just came off a hard-fought battle against Kansas City, we might be banged up. We might pour a lot of emotion into that game. Cincinnati is going to go into this game, and they're going to have a tough one as well, right? They're going to play at Cleveland, which is going to be a hard, tough game. They play at home versus Philly. If Philly starts off strong like they usually do, that could be a hard-fought game. They play us, but then look who they play after us. They have a short week against a division rival, the Baltimore Ravens. And this is another example of a kind of a trap game. There's a chance that they might overlook us a little bit. I'm not saying that they're not going to prepare. I'm just saying they might prepare to play us, but they might be looking at Baltimore. Again, they play us, and then they have a short week to play a division rival against the Baltimore Ravens. They might just take us just a little bit lightly, and that could give us a slight advantage and hopefully take over a game and come out with a win. So again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just looking at the schedule and saying this might play a slight role and give us just a little more of an advantage when we face them. And so after that Cincy game, now we hit our bye week. And so when we go into the bye, and if we look at the front part of this schedule, I think that if we go into the bye with a 5-4 record conservatively, I think that's actually a pretty good record going into the bye. I think it would be amazing if we went into the bye 6-3. So that's what I'm hoping for. I hope we go into the bye 6-3 and start the second half of the season, because after this bye, and again, one thing I'll also add, when we play Cincy, I mean, you want to win that Cincy game because you want to go into your bye off of a win. You really do. And so I really hope we could pull off that Cincy game, go into the bye, and then we have Miami. And so again, Miami's a very tough team on paper, but we have a week to rest. We have a couple weeks to prepare for them. Let's take a look at Miami's schedule because yes, on paper, Miami is a very good team, but let's look at what they got to do. Miami has to play away 2 weeks before they play us. They play away in Buffalo on the East Coast, and then they got to travel. Well, let's start with Arizona. They play home against Arizona. Then they got to travel. They're going to stay on the East Coast, but travel up north, go play Buffalo. Then they got to travel all the way to the West Coast to play Los Angeles. And that's on Monday night. And then on a short week, they travel back home to play us. So on a short week, they go East Coast to West Coast to East Coast. That's a lot of travel. And then they play us on a short week after a Monday night game. I'm not saying that that is going to win us the game. What I'm saying is that that might give us just a slight advantage because traveling from East Coast to West Coast to East Coast and playing off of a short week, that is not good. That does not help any team at all. And we are coming off of a bye. So let's just keep an eye on that Miami game. We could upset a team in Miami. So then we got the Miami game. Then we got Denver at home. Again, just a hard-fought game, but that's week 12. Sean Payton, Bo Nix, they might get some things rolling. So definitely got to keep an eye on how Denver's doing. And then we got Kansas City on Black Friday. Now, Kansas City's going to want revenge because of what we did to them on Christmas. So again, I think there's a good chance we steal game one. If we split 50-50, I'd love to sweep Kansas City, but they're going to come in hot. We're playing at Kansas City. We're going to be playing in Arrowhead. They're going to be pissed off from what we did to them last time. And then we got Tampa Bay. We're going to the East Coast. It's always hard to play on the East Coast. And now this is back-to-back games for us. So as much as, yes, Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield over there, they're going to be a good team. I think that it's hard to judge how good they're going to be right now, but just keep in mind, we're going to be playing a divisional game against Denver at home. We're going to be traveling to Kansas City, and then we travel again to Tampa Bay on the East Coast. That's going to be tough. So that's going to be a hard game to kind of go into the East Coast and play after that, the two games before us. And then we got Atlanta on Monday night. I think there's a good chance we beat Atlanta. Nothing really sticks out to me when it comes to that schedule. Then we got Jacksonville at home, good. 2 back-to-back home games. Let's battle against Jacksonville. And then we got New Orleans. I know everybody's marking on the calendar because of Derek Carr, whatever. I'm over the Carr stuff. Guys, I want to treat this game like any other game. Let's just beat the hell out of the Saints like I want to beat every other team on our schedule. All right, the Carr stuff is over. Whatever, we can turn it into a rival game. But guess what? The NFL clearly doesn't think it's a rival game. They put it on the back end of our schedule when it may not mean anything. Who knows? And so we go into New Orleans on December 29th. It's a morning game. So, or at least West Coast time, it'll be a 1:00 game for them. But let's just go in. Let's beat the New Orleans Saints. Let's cut the crap with all the car talk and everything. Let's just go in. Let's beat the New Orleans Saints. I think we can. And then we end with the grand finale. Not only did we start it with a bang and have to face Jim Harbaugh and all the drama of who we hire as a head coach, but now we got to end it with Jim Harbaugh. And so that's going to be interesting. We don't know whether or not it's going to be a home game or away game. No, I'm sorry. The time is TBD. Obviously, it's going to be a home game because we played in LA the first game. But this is going to be a game that's going to be huge because I'll tell you right now, I think we need to sweep the Chargers. We have to sweep the Chargers. I don't want to hear this talk. Of we should have hired Jim Harbaugh. All right. I understand that there's a lot of people and you have good reasons why you want to hire Jim Harbaugh. I get it, but I don't want to hear the talk anymore. AP's our coach. We got to roll with it. But I'll tell you right now, if we even lose one game to the Chargers, I wouldn't be surprised if those Jim Harbaugh fans want to come out and say, I told you so. So, guys, that kind of wraps up my breakdown of the schedule. And so I'm going to end it here. I'm going to kind of give you my projection. I don't like to give exact projections because you don't know how it's all going to play out, right? Josh McDaniels was fired halfway through the season last year. You have injuries. all that stuff. Who knew that Aiden O'Connell was going to come in and be our starter for almost half the season? So I'm not going to come on here and give exact projections, but I'll tell you right now, based on the schedule and the way that I laid it out, I think that conservatively we could easily be a 9-8 team. I think we can finish the season 9-8. I think that's conservative. I think that there's a really good chance, without question, we could be a 9-8 football team the way that our roster is and how the schedule stacks up. I think that there is a true pathway as long as we stay healthy. Obviously, every time you need a couple breaks to go your way, but I see that there's a pathway. There's a pathway to 11-6. I would be stoked if we came out with an 11-6 record. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, guys, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think our record's going to be? Let me know. What do you think? Do you think 9-8 is conservative? Do you think that there's a chance we could be 9-8? Do you think it's going to be worse? Do you think it's going to be better? And do you think 11-6 would be a hell of a record based on what our schedule is and the way it's laid out? So let me know in the comment section down below, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me. I know this is a long video, but I kind of want to give you just a little bit of insight on how I look at the schedule, how I look at our games. I don't look at just if a team is good or bad. I look at what is leading up to that game for both of us. You know, are we coming off of short weeks, all that stuff? And so let me know, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I appreciate you. Again, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. Next giveaway at 4,000 subscribers, but I might throw a surprise one in there. So hit that notification button so you're notified and make sure you're subscribed. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm out.